Newcomers, quite often, they get paralyzed by the decisions they have to make. They're wondering, what kind of performance should I give? How much myself should I be putting into this? When it comes to third-person narration, you don't need to stress because the decision has been made for you. The author has created a narrator, the third-person narrator versus us as narrators. The author's narrator is typically, it's going to fall into three general categories. It's going to be a very distant narrator. I call it the eyeball of God, right? It's just telling you what's happening. Historical fiction quite often has a narrator like that. He gets out of bed to look through his window, and it's true. Everything in his neighborhood seems slightly drained of color and energy. But then you have a narrator that gets a little closer to the action. I call it akin to the action. They're near the action. They're reporting on it. They're sharing a little bit more. They're invested a little bit more in the point of view character. When a tremendous reality, an enormous fact occurs to him, that in some sense the world around him just died. But then you've got a narrator who's right in the weeds with the main character. They are mirroring that character, feeling what they feel. In fact, Teddy realizes nothing new is ever going to happen to him again. He will never figure out what Mr. Capstone was up to in his backyard, and the Moonbird truck will go forever unexplained. I'm allowing myself to feel what the characters
There's
feel.
a lot more emotion in that.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. Our choice about how much we invest in the narration, and by extension in the point of view character, is determined by the narrator the author has written. So, be free of that worry. The text will be your guide.
Okay.
We don't care about voices. We just talked about voice a second ago, voice quality. Your voice doesn't sound bad. How many people have you really listened to who you walked away and thought, good Lord, his voice is awful, right? It doesn't really happen, right? But what we remember is, their heart. I always will talk about that, and their passion, right? So if we're talking, and you see I'm actually getting a little amped up with this right now, right? You can hear that passion. This means something to me. This is important to me. And that's what I'm trying to communicate is the passion. You need to care about what you're delivering and deliver it with energy and passion. So, not everything needs that emphasis. There can be a very cool kind of thing.
Right.
But to me, emphasis comes from passion, and passion is a lot about teaching what we're talking about. You'll hear, I'm emphasizing a lot, right? Certain words, throwing a ton of words away because I'm trying to make a particular point. This is actually a recording tip anyway, is to make sure that if you make a mistake reading the sentence, don't just blunder through it. Pretend like you're going to keep it, right? But then you got to go back to the beginning of the sentence and start it over again.
Right.
Read through the book and make some notes in it. One of the best things that I have seen for books with a lot of characters in it is by taking a highlighter and highlighting the different texts of the different characters in different colors. And then give yourself a key as to, this character is this color, this character is this color. And that would help you remember different character voices if you're changing the voices for each character. Or you can make notes in the sidebar about, this would be a good place to take a breath, or maybe this would need a little more inflection, or if there is, an important point coming up, you can make a note to give this section a little bit more of a mysterious tone, or get a little bit closer to the mic for more intimate. You know what I mean? But and also, speaking of characters, the male voices can be just slightly lower and a little more abrupt. And a female's voice can have a completely different cadence. It could be higher pitched. They can speak faster. You can give them accents. And again, it all depends on the story itself. Don't get so nitpicky about yourself. I know it's weird in the beginning to hear yourself talk and you want to just kind of, obsess on every little noise and thing, but just don't. Audiobooks are created to have a book read, to someone who doesn't either have the time or can't. So you're just reading a book to someone for entertainment or educational purposes. Just make it enjoyable.